My undercover assignment was nearly over when I saw them, posters plastered on every telephone pole, wanted posters for me. The reward was astronomical, a multi-million-dollar bounty. But as I leaned in, my heart pounding, I saw the familiar, elegant handwriting, and knew it was the handiwork of Victoria Vance. When I asked around, I learned the horrifying truth. She had lost her mind. She hadn't just found a new boyfriend, she'd forced him to undergo plastic surgery to look exactly like me. And when she found out I had faked my own death to escape, she'd cruelly disfigured the poor man's face. Seeing her handwriting, that script I knew so well, a sharp pain lanced through my chest. Memories crashed over me like a tidal wave. Victoria and I had been high school sweethearts. The prom queen and the star quarterback. The couple everyone envied. We'd sworn we'd get married the day we were old enough. But at the peak of our love, I shattered her heart. I broke up with her without a real explanation and left the country with a stunning heiress. You'll never forget the image of her, eyes red and swollen, chasing after my car for blocks. A woman with so much pride, begging me not to leave, promising she would grow up, telling me to wait for her, pleading with me not to love someone else. But I was cold, cruel. I refused to say another word, even as I watched in my rear-view mirror as she ran into the street and was hit by a car. I didn't even stop. The accident was severe. It ruptured her kidney, and she needed a transplant to survive. Lying on a bloody operating table, she still tried to crawl up, to call me one last time. But I rejected every single call. Deep love curdles into deep hate. From that day on, Victoria Vance hated me to her core. It took her 4 years. But she clawed her way to the top of the corporate world, becoming a ruthless, self-made tycoon. And the first thing she did with her newfound power, she found me, forced me into a marriage license, and then began a campaign of systematic humiliation, bringing home a different man every night just to torture me. Only I knew the truth. I didn't break up with her because I stopped loving her or because I was a gold digger. I had no choice. My father was an undercover detective. His cover was blown by a cartel kingpin who not only murdered him, but then targeted our entire family for revenge. The moment I got the news, we went on the run. To keep Victoria out of it, to save her life, I had to cut her out of mine. When I heard about her accident, I risked everything to get to the hospital and anonymously donated my kidney to her. I had to leave before she even woke up. But it was too late. By the time I got back to our safe house, the cartel had found them. My mother, my sister, my whole family was gone. I was the only one who survived. The memory of their slaughter makes my vision go red. Seeing the fury in my eyes now, Victoria's cold voice cut through the silence. A flicker of hope in her gaze. What? Are you going to tell me you had some tragic reason for what you did? I snapped back to reality and shook my head, my voice firm. No reason. You were right about me all along. I'm just a shallow, greedy bastard. The truth was a burden too heavy to bear then, and it's impossible to speak now. I carry the weight of my family's blood debt. A life with her was never in the cards. These past few years, living under her roof, have been stolen moments. Now, I've decided to carry on my father's legacy, to take up his badge number. It's a suicide mission. Maybe he'll be reunited with my family soon enough. My answer made Victoria's face darken. If you have nothing to say, then get out and buy me some condoms, she sneered, her voice laced with rage. I said nothing, just picked up the cash she threw on the floor and walked out. When I returned, I left the box at her bedroom door and locked myself in my own room. All night, the sounds from her room were a deliberate act of revenge. I heard her moaning with her new man, Julian Wells, whispering sweet nothings. I love you so much, darling. Promise you'll love me forever. Promise you'll never leave me. The exact words I used to whisper to her when we held each other. Back then, we were broke, living in a tiny 200-square-foot apartment, but we had a love that felt infinite. I had dreamed 1,000 times of growing old with her, of having a son and a daughter, a lifetime of happiness. But those memories were just smoke and mirrors now, beautiful but gone forever. I cried until the sun came up. My pillow soaked. Told Turner, I told myself, this is the last time you cry for her. When I came downstairs, they were both away. The men Victoria brought home never stayed the night. Julian was the first. The house staff was buzzing with activity. It was Julian's birthday, and Victoria was throwing him a lavish party at the house. The party was a spectacle. The city's elite flocked to congratulate Julian, as if he were the man of the house. Victoria made sure of it, holding his hand, guiding him through the adoring crowd. After he blew out his candles, she extravagantly presented him with a diamond-encrusted watch that was easily worth a fortune. Then, overcome with emotion, They shared a passionate kiss in front of everyone. The applause was deafening. All eyes turned to me, pity dripping from their gazes. What a pathetic husband. I had become the laughingstock of the entire city. Anyone else would have run and hid. But I just stood there, a bitter smile on my face. What was this compared to the hell I'd already endured? Later, in a quiet corner, Julian found me. Aren't you going to ask me why? I shook my head. There's nothing to know. Julian was my best friend. He knew my whole story. He'd watched me suffer for years, seen me break down looking at the pictures Victoria would send me of her and other men. He'd wanted to tell her the truth so many times, but I always stopped him, telling him it wouldn't change anything. Now, his eyes were red as he looked at me, filled with a storm of emotions I couldn't decipher. You know what I hate most about you, Cole? This act. Like you don't care about anything. Like you don't know that I've been in love with her for years, but her heart only ever had room for you. His voice cracked. You saw your own pain, but do you have any idea what she went through after you left? She drank herself sick every night, throwing up blood. She'd go back to that tiny apartment you shared and just sit there, all night, clutching the only photos you left behind. One time, she got mugged. They stabbed her 3 times, but she fought like hell to protect her wallet, to keep them from taking the only piece of you she had left. She became a success just to bring you back, to bring all these men home, just hoping you'd finally break. Just once. All you had to do was say you still loved her, and she would have thrown everything away to be with you again. A woman that proud, Cole. She humbled herself for you. She hates you, but God, she loves you more. He paused, taking a shaky breath. And I hate you, too. I hate you for what you did to her, and I hate that she still can't let you go. She never wanted me, you know. All the other guys she brought home looked like you. I look nothing like you. But I'm the one who's lasted the longest. You know why? Because I lied to her. I told her I was the one who gave her my kidney all those years ago. I just listened, silent. Seeing my lack of reaction, Julian's breathing grew ragged. Cole, you haven't given me a birthday present yet. There's only one thing I want. I want you to give her to me. I was quiet for a long time. Just as Julian thought I wouldn't answer, I finally spoke. Okay. A tearful smile broke across his face. If you're going to give her up, then do it completely. Make sure there's not a single trace of you left in her heart. Before I could react, he let go of the grand staircase railing and threw himself backward. The crash silenced the party. When Victoria saw Julian lying in a pool of blood, her face became a mask of pure fury. Cole, do you have a death wish? She screamed, rushing to his side before ordering her guards to take him to the hospital. The party was over. I was dragged to the hospital, too. Julian had lost a lot of blood, and my blood type was a match. Without a second of hesitation, Victoria ordered me to donate. A blood donation requires a basic health screening. My surgical history, my missing kidney, it would all come out. I couldn't let her find out I was her donor. Not like this. I won't do it, I said, forcing a harsh tone. His blood type isn't that rare. Why does it have to be me? Victoria pulled a thick wad of cash from her purse and threw it in my face. You love money, don't you? In your price. I'll give you anything. Now will you do it? I stared at her, my face numb as stack after stack of bills hit my skin. Each impact felt like another twist of the knife in my heart. After she'd thrown 6 or 7 stacks, I finally bent down, collected the money from the floor, and smiled. You should have just led with that. Saved us both some time. I walked straight to the donation room. After the checkup, the doctor looked at my chart and shook his head. This man has had major surgery. He's missing a kidney, and has a history of significant blood loss. He is not a suitable donor. Victoria's brow furrowed. Missing a kidney. What does that mean? Before I could speak, she shot me a look of pure contempt. Don't tell me, for my new boyfriend, you're going to pretend you were the one who donated a kidney to me back then. Is that your new pathetic angle? The pain was suffocating. I forced a laugh and nodded. Damn. You saw right through me. Her face went dark. She grabbed the doctor by his collar, her voice a low growl. I don't care how much he's paying you to lie. I'll double it. Now take as much blood as Julian needs from him. The large needle pierced my vein, and a shiver ran through me. As the blood drained from my body, a chilling cold seeped in. The world started to blur. I don't know how many vials they took before I finally blacked out. I woke up and it was dark outside. On the bedside table was a warm cinnamon roll, my favorite comfort food. Whenever I used to get sick, no matter where she was, Victoria would brave anything to bring me one to cheer me up. I'm poor now, she'd say. This is all I can give you. But one day, I'll give you the world. The memory of her holding me, her voice so gentle, made my chest constrict until I could barely breathe. I mechanically picked up the pastry and forced myself to eat, bite by tasteless bite. When I walked out, I saw Julian in the next room, leaning against the bed, whining to Victoria. It's too hot, Vicky. She gently blew on the spoonful of soup before bringing it to his lips. He took a bite and pouted. It's not sweet enough. Without a hint of impatience, she smiled, pulled a candy from her pocket, unwrapped it, and popped it into his mouth. He blinked. Still not sweet enough. This time, Victoria set the bowl down, cupped his face in her hands, and gave him a long, tender kiss. When they parted, Julian pulled her into an embrace, his voice thick with emotion. Vicky, please stop loving Cole. Love me, okay? His eyes darted to the doorway, meeting mine. The air went still. His gaze was cold, triumphant. Victoria's voice was a chilling whisper. I don't love him. I never will again. I said nothing, just a bitter twist of my lips as I turned and walked away. During my hospital stay, Victoria doted on Julian so extravagantly that the entire staff knew their story. No one came to visit me. I was alone. A young nursing intern, thinking I was single, got up the courage to ask for my number one day. Victoria happened to walk by at that exact moment. She just stared at us, her eyes like ice, and said nothing. That night, I saw her setting up a massive firework display for Julian outside. The brilliant explosions lit up the night sky, and the whole hospital rushed to the windows to watch. I stood beneath the dazzling lights, watching a celebration that wasn't for me. Like my happiness, the fireworks were beautiful and fleeting. The nursing intern who was supposed to check on me that night never showed up. I didn't see her again for the rest of my stay. On the day of my discharge, Julian insisted I ride with them. Vicky, we have to take Cole. It's such a hassle for him to get a cab. Victoria shot me a cold look. Julian, don't be too kind to him. He's the type to bite the hand that feeds him. Besides, he's a master at seducing women. I'm sure someone will be lining up to take him home. I remained silent and got in the car. Halfway home, Victoria got a call about a cocktail party she'd been invited to. Julian immediately begged her to take them, whining that he'd been cooped up in the hospital for too long. She agreed. At the party, everyone saw her holding Julian's hand and naturally assumed he was her husband. I trailed behind them like a shadow. And who was this? One CO asked, gesturing toward me. Victoria glanced at me, her voice dripping with disdain. He's one of my house staff. I brought him along to look after Julian. My heart stopped, but I couldn't say a word. In the middle of the party, someone tried to offer Victoria a drink. She just waved a dismissive hand in my direction. He'll take it. I didn't bring you here to enjoy yourself. Don't worry, he'll be well paid. I smiled, took the glass, and downed it in one gulp. Seeing her blatant disregard for me, others swarmed in, pressing drinks on me. I refused none of them. At one point, a predatory older woman used the pretense of a toast to grope me. I pushed her away several times, but she persisted, her hand lingering on my shoulder. From a dark corner, I saw Victoria watching, her eyes growing stormier with every passing second. I don't know how much I drank. The room was spinning. They stumbled to the restroom to splash water on my face. When I came out, the same older woman was waiting for me. A sense of dread washed over me. I backed away, but she was faster. She pressed a cloth soaked in some chemical over my mouth and nose. My body grew heavy. My blood felt like it was boiling. She started dragging me down a long hallway. Just as she was pushing me through a hotel room door, I summoned my remaining strength and kicked her hard in the shin. She cried out and loosened her grip, and I shoved her away, scrambling down the hall. I ducked into the first unlocked room. I found my body on fire. That cloth had been doused with a powerful aphrodisiac. In my haze, the door opened and a tall, slender woman walked in. Silhouetted against the light, I couldn't see her face. Thinking she was a member of the hotel staff, I lunged forward and grabbed her arm. Help me, Heiress. Find a girl for me. Please, quickly. Her voice was ice. Do you have any idea what you're saying? I bit my lip, trying to clear my head. I can't die. Please. She let out a cold laugh. Why find another woman? Am I not good enough for you? The familiar voice shocked me back to a semblance of clarity. My eyes focused on Victoria. With my last ounce of strength, I pushed her away. Nah, you. It can't be you. Her face twisted in rage. She lunged, her hands closing around my throat. Why not me? Didn't you say you'd never leave me as long as I had money? Well, I have money now. Why can't it be me? I stared at her, and a tear I couldn't stop slid down my cheek. Because you're Victoria, I whispered, my voice trembling. You're my Victoria. That single confession unleashed a storm. She completely lost control, and we spent a wild, desperate night together. When I woke up the next morning, my body was covered in marks, my face burning with shame. Beside me, Victoria was awake, too. She looked at me, 1,000 unspoken words in her eyes, but all she said was, "Don't mention this to Julian." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. I'm your husband, but our night together is a secret we have to keep from your boyfriend. Is there anything more ridiculous in the world? I laughed again. Fine. As long as you pay me, I guarantee I won't say a word. Victoria's face went pale with rage. She grabbed a stack of cash from her purse, threw it at me in disgust, and got dressed, leaving without a backward glance. When I got home, I discovered that Julian was moving in permanently. His luggage was piled in the living room. He greeted me like he owned the place. You're back. I had the staff move your things to the guest room. Hope you don't mind. Whether I minded was irrelevant. No one cared how I felt. And I wasn't planning on staying in this house much longer anyway. Once Julian moved in, they were inseparable, like newlyweds. At dinner, Victoria would gently place food on his plate, peel his shrimp, even cool his soup to the perfect temperature before feeding it to him. He'd walk through the living room and find them locked in a passionate embrace. Even from the guest wing, I could hear their muffled sounds late at night. They had woven a net around me, and with every passing day, it tightened. The torture escalated. Victoria would make me stand guard outside their door, while they were together. You like money, don't you? How does 10,000 for a night's work sound? Her beautiful face was a mask of cold pride. I stared at her for a long moment before answering. 10,000. A muscle twitched in her jaw, a vein pulsing on her forehead. She grit her teeth, grabbed a stack of cash and threw it at me. Get out. I emotionlessly picked up the money, and even closed the door for them on my way out. The humiliations kept coming. She made me prepare their room, buy Julian's underwear, even clean up after them. My payment was always cash thrown in my face. I never refused, never showed a single flicker of anger, or hurt, or resentment. I just took the money and did the job, as cold and unfeeling as a machine, as if her life had nothing to do with me. I didn't care about her being with someone else, about her loving someone else. But my indifference drove her mad. Late one night, she cornered me in the hallway, her arms wrapping around my waist as she pressed me against the wall. Why are you so cold? Why don't you care? Why aren't you jealous? Did you ever even like me, Cole? What am I to you? I met her desperate gaze with the same calm emptiness. I'd only care about money. If you want me to act jealous, I can. But it'll cost you extra. This time, she didn't explode. She just stared at me and laughed. A hollow, broken sound. By the end of her laughter, her eyes were red. She shoved me away and walked off without looking back. A few days later, Victoria went to the Summit Ridge Resort for a business meeting. I'd only found out by overhearing the staff gossiping. I heard Ms. Vance went to the Summit Ridge and got caught in an avalanche coming down the mountain. There's been no word. Really? What's going to happen? The snow is especially bad this year. An avalanche, she might not make it. It's true. I heard her assistant on the phone. They've sent a search party, but the blizzard is too strong. The rescue teams can't go up the mountain. My blood ran cold. My body went rigid. I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking. The headline was right there. Massive avalanche at Summit Ridge, Vance Corporation CEO missing. I had never known fear like this. The phone slipped from my grasp and clattered to the floor. My mind flooded with 1,000 horrific images. Victoria. You can't die. I grabbed a coat and scarf and sprinted out of the villa, driving like a madman to the base of the mountain. The rescue teams were all grounded, held back by the blinding snow. I pushed through the crowd, grabbed a snowmobile, and was about to hit the gas when someone grabbed my arm. Are you insane? You can't see a thing up there. You won't save anyone, you'll just get yourself killed. We have to wait for the storm to pass. I shoved him away, my voice raw. I don't need your damn permission. I'm bringing her back. In a heartbeat, I was gone, roaring up the mountain and into the blizzard. The wind and snow were 10 times worse up here. Even in my heavy gear, I was shaking from the cold. The entire world was a sea of white. Finding Victoria would be like finding a needle in a haystack. But I had to try. I screamed her name into the wind, over and over again, my voice swallowed by the storm. Victoria, Victoria, where are you? I screamed her name, over and over. Victoria, Victoria, where are you? The blizzard swallowed my voice, making it raw and hoarse, but I didn't stop. An hour later, I finally saw her, a small, dark shape huddled at the base of a tree. I scrambled toward her, tearing off my own hat and scarf to wrap around her frozen body. She was unconscious, her cheeks as cold as ice. Tears streamed down my face as I lifted her onto my snowmobile. Victoria, you're going to be okay, I sobbed. I won't let anything happen to you. On the treacherous path down, my leg was impaled by a sharp wooden stake hidden beneath the snow, but I barely felt the pain. There was only one thought in my mind: get Victoria safely down the mountain. It took 3 agonizing hours to navigate the storm and reach the base. The rescue workers stared in disbelief when they saw us emerge from the blizzard. They couldn't believe I had the guts, the sheer will, to go up alone in that weather and actually find her. The moment I saw the crowd rushing toward us, the moment I knew she was safe, I finally allowed myself to collapse. I don't know how long I was unconscious. When I finally woke up, Victoria was already gone from the hospital. After a quick check-up, I was discharged. It was only when I returned to the house that I discovered the truth. Julian had already taken her home, and in the story she now believed, he was the one who had braved the blizzard to save her life. Seeing her safe and sound, there was nothing left for me to say. I turned to go upstairs. Cole, are you really that cold-hearted? Her voice, sharp and icy, cut through the air behind me. My shoulders tensed, but I didn't stop or turn around. I just kept walking. There was no point in saying anything more. It was better this way. Let her hate me forever. After rescuing Victoria, Julian's devotion to her became almost suffocating. Even the household staff knew that after Victoria, Julian Wells was the most important person in the house. He promised her that anything she wanted, she only had to ask. One evening, he held her in his arms, his voice as gentle as ever. I don't need anything, Vicky. I just want to make it official. You know I've always wanted to marry you. Victoria's hands, which had been resting on his back, froze. After a long silence, she spoke slowly. I can give you anything in the world. Anything but that. He pulled back, his eyes already glistening with tears. It's still because of Cole, isn't it? You love him that much, but does he love you? Vicky, who's the one who has always been by your side? With that, he pushed her away and ran out of the house, his eyes red with anguish. Before Victoria could even chase after him, she heard the screech of tires and a sickening thud. She ran outside to find Julian lying in a pool of his own blood. Her face went pale. She rushed to his side, cradling him in her arms. He looked so fragile, as if he might fade away at any moment. She clutched his hand, her face a mask of regret and pain. Anything you want, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'll agree to anything. A satisfied smile spread across his face as he closed his eyes. The accident wasn't serious. A quick trip to the hospital for some bandages, and he was discharged. The first thing Victoria did when they returned was demand a divorce. We sat on opposite ends of the living room sofa, the air between us cold and distant. She spoke first. How much do you want? Name your price. I nonchalantly flipped through the divorce papers. Whatever you want to give me is fine. But there is one thing I insist on taking. She frowned. What? I closed the folder and looked at her, my voice flat. The heirloom jade pendant you gave me years ago. That pendant wasn't just a family heirloom, it was our engagement gift, a symbol of our promise. If I died on this next mission, I wanted it to be buried with me. It was a final, selfish wish to keep a piece of our story for myself. Her eyes lit up with a flicker of hope. She tried to hide the tremor in her voice. If you don't want to get divorced, we don't have to. I knew what she wanted to hear, but I couldn't give it to her. Of course we're getting a divorce. I'll get a bigger settlement that way. Why wouldn't I? I had that pendant appraised, you know. It's worth a fortune. You have to give it to me. The shameless greed in my voice made her face turn ashen with fury. Her long, elegant fingers curled into tight fists, her eyes like daggers. You have no heart, Cole. Be at the courthouse tomorrow morning. Don't make me wait. I never thought ending our marriage would be so simple. I always imagined, with her personality, she'd never let go, that she'd torture me until I was a broken man. Staring at our names and photos on the divorce certificate, a sharp pain lanced through my chest. From this day forward, Cole Turner and Victoria Vance were nothing to each other, two parallel lines that would never cross again. Before we parted, Victoria made one last demand. She would give me a massive fortune, but on one condition: I had to participate in her wedding to Julian. I'd had to go with them to the tuxedo fittings, help choose the rings, and serve as Julian's best man. Only after I had fulfilled these duties would she let me go. At first, I didn't understand. Why would she want her ex-husband at her wedding? But then it clicked. These were all the things she had once promised me. She wanted me to watch, firsthand, as the beautiful life we had once dreamed of was handed over to another man. When we got married, there was no ceremony, not even a single wedding photo. It was a marriage born of revenge and pain. Now, she was starting a new life, and she wanted me to witness her perfect, happy ending. At the Duxo fitting, I sat to the side and watched Julian try on one exquisite suit after another. The staff fawned over him. "Mr. Wells, Miss Pants must truly adore you. She's such a busy woman, yet she's here for every detail. You two are a match made in heaven. These suits are priceless, she must spoil you rotten." Julian just smiled, occasionally glancing my way. "Yes," he said softly. "Vicky is very good to me." After the fitting, we went to the coast to choose a venue. It was Julian's idea. He said he loved the ocean. The ceremony would be on the sand, followed by a lavish party on a yacht. As Victoria discussed the details with the planner, Julian and I stood on the deck. He saw the jade pendant I was holding. He recognized it immediately from when I had first shown it to him, years ago. His face darkened. Without a word, he snatched it from my hand. "I thought you wanted to be done with her. Why are you still holding on to this? It's just a pendant. Give it back," I said, my voice tight with anxiety as I reached for it. Seeing how much it meant to me fueled his anger. He threw the pendant onto the deck and stomped on it with his heel. "If you're going to make a clean break, then do it. What is this pathetic sentimentality?" The jade shattered into a dozen pieces. Before I could even process the loss, Julian grabbed me and pulled both of us over the railing and into the freezing ocean below. Neither of us could swim. The icy water closed over me. As I sank, watching the shimmering light on the surface grow distant, my mind went blank. I remembered a time, early in our relationship, when I had fallen into a lake. Victoria had gone into a blind panic. In the middle of a cold winter, she had jumped in without hesitation to save me. When she pulled me out and saw I was okay, her eyes were so red it looked like they were bleeding. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry. She clung to me, whispering, "I almost lost you. The thing I fear most in this world is losing you." The second time I saw her cry was when I broke up with her. I had never seen her so helpless, like a child who didn't understand what they'd done wrong, begging me not to leave. No. As the world faded to black, I wondered, would she save me this time? I didn't know. The water roared in my ears. Through the murk, I saw a figure dive into the water. But that silhouette swam straight for Julian. God was merciful enough not to let me drown. When the crew pulled me back onto the yacht, the first thing I saw was Victoria hovering over Julian, frantically checking him for injuries. She glanced over at me, lying soaked and pathetic on the deck. I met her gaze, my own eyes as empty as my shattered heart. She quickly looked away. "Don't look at me like that. Julian is the one I love now. Of course I'd save him. I stopped loving you a long time ago. Did you really expect me to drop everything and save you like I used to?" I sniffled the salt water burning my nose, and nodded. "That's good. It's good that you don't love me anymore. It's for the best." When we got back, Victoria threw the deed to the villa on the table in front of me. "This house is filled with you. It's not fit to be my marital home with Julian. I'm getting him a new place, where everything is fresh and clean. The thought of this house disgusts me now. It's yours. Tomorrow is my wedding. Pack your things and get out. But don't you dare miss the ceremony. After that, where you go and what you do is no longer my concern." I didn't argue. I just nodded. "Victoria, I sincerely wish you happiness." I saw her falter for a split second before she walked out the door without looking back. I meant it. I wanted her to be happy. But I wouldn't be at her wedding. I had just received the call from my superiors. The plan was in motion. My fake death, my new assignment, there were no more chances. On her wedding day, I stood in the house that was once supposed to be ours. My phone buzzed again and again with texts from her. "Cole, what time is it? Why aren't you here yet? You have 20 minutes. Get here now. Cole Turner, you dare stand me up. Just you try it." I turned off the screen, ignoring the frantic vibrations, and picked up the can of gasoline. I poured it everywhere. In the living room, a decoy body was already in place. After today, Cole Turner would cease to exist. I flicked open a lighter, tossed it into the gasoline-soaked room, and walked out without a backward glance. An hour later, I arrived at a classified government facility. My superior formally pinned my father's old badge onto my chest. "Badge number 17,468, reactivated," he said. Welcome back to the force, Turner. At the wedding venue, it was 10 minutes before the ceremony was scheduled to begin. Victoria put her phone down, her face a thunderous mass. She had called me countless times, each call going straight to voicemail. What game was I playing now? Did I think the divorce settlement wasn't enough? She clutched her phone, her eyes burning with rage, but Julian could see the flicker of anxiety hidden beneath it. Julian, wait here. I'm going to go drag Cole back here to be your best man. The idea was so absurdly, painfully ironic. Even now, she couldn't let me go. Julian tightened his grip on her arm, keeping her by his side. It's okay, Vicky. If he doesn't show up, he doesn't show up. We can't miss our own wedding for him, can we? He had waited years for this moment. He refused to let me ruin it. A vicious glint flashed in his eyes. Victoria's expression darkened, but she didn't argue. 10 minutes. She thought that surely, in the next 10 minutes, I would call back, or send a text, telling her I couldn't bear it, begging her not to marry him. But the seconds ticked by, and the message she longed for never came. Finally, the wedding march began to play. With a look of utter defeat, she threw her phone onto a table backstage. Let's go, Julian, she said, her voice like ice. After today, you will be my husband. She took his arm. As they turned to walk toward the aisle, the screen of the phone she'd thrown down lit up with a new message. Julian's expression flickered. I'll be right there, Vicky. Wait for me, he said with a small smile. Victoria nodded, and walked into the grand hall alone. Julian picked up her phone. The message was from the butler. Anne, it's terrible news. Something's happened to Mr. Turner. Still trying to use these pathetic tricks to get her back, Cole. Julian thought. You just won't stay dead. A sneer crossed his face. She's mine. He deleted the message. A second later, his own phone rang. It was the butler. Hello. He answered calmly. Mr. Wells is Miss Vance with you. Mr. Turner. Something's happened. Vicky and I are about to start our wedding ceremony. Don't bother her with such trivial matters. He hung up the phone. The officiant's voice boomed, calling for the groom. With a look of pure triumph, Julian pushed open the doors to the hall and walked down the red carpet toward the woman he had loved for years. The ceremony went off without a hitch. They exchanged vows, traded rings, and kissed before the cheering crowd. Everyone wished them well, but the gnawing anxiety in Victoria's heart wouldn't fade. It only grew stronger. She instinctively reached for her phone to see if I had replied, only to remember she'd left it backstage. Time to greet the guests, Vicky, Julian said, his face beaming. The guests complimented them, calling them the perfect couple. But his face, his personality, everything about him was a carefully constructed imitation of me. Even making love to him had never felt real. But he had sacrificed so much for her. I had abandoned her. She couldn't be the one to abandon him now. Suppressing the unease, she forced a smile, and went through the motions. The reception lasted late into the night. Julian was completely drunk. Vicky, he slurred, I am finally yours. Do you know how long I've waited for this day? You only ever saw Cole. You never once looked at me. But I finally got you. Listening to his drunken confession, Victoria felt a pang of wary affection. But her thoughts drifted back to me. Not a single word. My silence was a deliberate, soul-crushing cruelty. She knew if I had just said one word, asked her to stay, she would have thrown everything away. But I was heartless. I couldn't even stand to be at her wedding. Fine. From now on, she would be heartless too. The car dropped them off at their new marital home. As Victoria helped a stumbling Julian out of the car, the butler came running towards them, his face pale with panic. Ma'am, it's terrible news. The words hit her like a physical blow, but before she could react, Julian, suddenly sober, cut in. Whatever it is can wait until tomorrow. Vicky is exhausted. Given Julian's new status, the butler glanced at Victoria, hesitant to speak. He's right, she said, her voice flat. Today is our wedding day. What could possibly be wrong? Julian breathed a sigh of relief, and the butler retreated. But a few minutes later, after getting Julian settled, Victoria came back to the living room, her face a cold mask. Tell me, she ordered the butler. She hadn't asked in front of Julian, because she had a sickening feeling this was about me. The butler's face was grim. Mom, it's Mr. Turner. Something has happened. A look of disgust crossed her face. What could have happened to him? Does he want more money? Tell him he and I are finished. Mr. Turner, he's passed away. Victoria's hands gripped the arms of the sofa. The news was so shocking, so impossible. How could I just suddenly be dead? She glared at the butler. Is this some kind of sick joke? Do you have a death wish? The butler nearly fell to his knees. I would never joke about something like this, Manhua. He recounted the story, his voice shaking. This afternoon, we discovered the villa you gave Mr. Turner was on fire. It was a massive blaze. By the time the fire department put it out, it was too late. When we went inside, Mr. Turner was burned beyond recognition. There was nothing they could do. The world went silent. Victoria's eyes were wide with disbelief. A long moment passed before she let out a guttural roar. How is that possible? Why didn't anyone tell me? What kind of incompetence is this? I called you, Manhua. I sent messages. You didn't answer. I even called Mr. Wells, and he said you were busy and not to be disturbed with trivial matters. The butler stammered, bowing his head in terror. Impossible, she screamed. She'd had her phone with her all day, except for during the ceremony. No one had called. Furious, she pulled out her phone to prove him wrong, but when she checked her deleted items, she saw them. A dozen missed calls and texts, all from the butler. The timestamps were from right before the ceremony, the only time Julian had been alone with her phone. Her face went deathly white. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Take me to him, she said, her voice a hoarse whisper. Mr. Turner is take me to Cole, she screamed, her eyes already red, and wild. The butler, seeing her state, reluctantly nodded. The driver took them back to the house that was supposed to have been ours. When Victoria got out of the car, she could barely believe her eyes. The place where our memories were made was now a pile of charred rubble. She stumbled through the debris, the acrid smell of smoke still hanging heavy in the air, a testament to the ferocity of the fire. Where is he? She whispered. Where is my Cole? In the deepest part of the wreckage. In a small, cleared space, she saw it. A body, burned black. The air left her lungs. Slowly, she knelt, not daring to reach out, afraid that if she touched him, he would turn to ash. Is that him? She choked out, unable to believe that in the span of a single day, this was what had become of me. Mr. Turner was the only one in the house at the time. At that confirmation, Victoria's heart shattered completely. A single, silent tear fell to the scorched earth. But, she sobbed, the sound torn from her soul. How did this happen? Cole, you asked me for so much money you haven't even spent a penny of it. You love money more than anything, don't you? I'll give you all of my money. Just tell me this is a joke. I'll give you everything. She, who had always despised my greed, was now praying it was all just another one of my schemes. She screamed my name, over and over, but her calls were met with nothing but the dead silence of the ruins. The man she loved was gone. Cole, Victoria's voice was a broken whisper, her tears a torrent. She had been ready to marry Julian, to finally sever the ties to her painful past. But why? Why had he left her again? This time for good. Cole, you were so cruel, she sobbed. Was there ever, even for a second, a place for me in your heart? She couldn't even bring herself to embrace the charred remains. A bottomless, suffocating grief enveloped her, threatening to crush her in the ruins of their shared history. As Victoria knelt there, lost in her despair, the butler approached, his face grim. He had more news that would shatter what was left of her world. While confirming the identity via we discovered something else. The kidney transplant all those years ago, the donor was Cole Turner. He continued, his voice low. According to the hospital's security footage from that day, Mr. Turner discharged himself immediately after the surgery. Before he was even stable, he left in such a hurry that no proper record was ever filed. The words struck her like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky. When she had woken up after the accident, the first person she saw was Julian. She had seen the scar on his waist. A few suggestive words from a nurse had cemented the lie in her mind. She had always believed Julian was her savior. It was the entire foundation of their relationship. And it was all a lie. The avalanche, too. The rescue workers had told her it was Julian who braved the storm. Another lie. It had been Cole, always Cole, risking his life for her in the shadows. As the butler laid out the truth, piece by devastating piece, each word was another nail in Victoria's coffin of regret. The pain became unbearable, and a heart-wrenching scream tore from her throat. She had always thought he didn't care. She never knew that behind her back, he was the one protecting her, sacrificing for her. Then why did you leave me? She wailed at the ashes. Why didn't you just tell me? If you had just said something, I would have thrown everything away for you. Why, Cole? But I lived. All those years, you silently endured my cruelty, my humiliation. How much pain were you in? You did love me, didn't you? You did. Her tears fell onto the blackened ground, a universe of sorrow swallowing her whole. In the quiet of the night, under a sky of indifferent stars, The truth was finally revealed over a dead man's grave. Victoria didn't go home. She ordered a proper, respectful burial. Throughout the process, her phone rang incessantly. She didn't have to look to know who it was. The man who had orchestrated her love's death. She worked through the night. By dawn, everything was arranged. She personally placed the urn containing my ashes into the mausoleum. Her heart itched with a self-loathing so profound it was a physical pain. But her hatred for Julian was even stronger. If he hadn't deceived her, would she have waited until I was dead to learn how much I had done for her? She remembered all the times she had flaunted her affair with Julian in my face, forced me to serve him, thrown money at me like I was trash. The memory was a fresh knife in her gut. I had loved her more than my own life, and she had allowed a liar to manipulate her into torturing me. The name carved on the tombstone seared itself into her vision. She reached out a trembling hand to trace the letters of my name. An endless wave of grief washing over her. I was gone. What was the point of her own life now? But before the end, there was one last thing she had to do. Her phone rang again. This time she answered, the sorrow in her eyes hardening into ice. Vicky. Oh my God. Why are you just now answering? I was so worried about you. It was Julian, his voice thick with a practiced, cloying concern. He had been terrified all night that the butler had told her the truth about my accident. They spent the night calling both of us, his fear mounting with every unanswered ring. He knew he was no match for me, which is why he'd had to lie about the kidney, about the avalanche, about everything. He thought marrying her would secure his position, but one piece of news about me, a man who wasn't even there, had been enough to pull her away. Vicky, you weren't here last night, he whined, falling back on his old trick. I got so dizzy, I could hardly breathe. The doctor says it's because of my missing kidney. Can you please come home? All right, she said, her voice chillingly calm. I'll be right there. In the past, his words would have sent her rushing to his side. Now, they filled her with revulsion. How dare you? She thought, a cold smile touching her lips as she hung up. The white wedding dress she had worn was gone, replaced by a severe, black suit. Are we going back, Manhua? The butler asked. Of course, Victoria replied, her voice devoid of all emotion. Julian is my husband. I have to take good care of him. An hour later, she walked into their new home. Julian, dressed in a silk shirt, rushed to embrace her. Vicky, I missed you so much. Where were you? It was our wedding night. He pressed himself against her, trying to ignite the passion he had come to expect. But Victoria's eyes were cold, watching him as if he were a joke. As he leaned in to kiss her, she grabbed his chin. He looked at her with anticipation, and she slapped him across the face. The sharp crack echoed through the room. Julian stumbled and fell, a bright red handprint blooming on his cheek. Vicky, why did you hit me? He cried, his voice breaking. After everything I've done for you. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, his expression hardened with resentment. It was Cole, wasn't it? What did he say to you? He doesn't love you, Vicky. I am the one who truly loves you, who would do anything for you. His words only fueled her rage. You want to die, Julian. She kicked him, sending him crashing into a pillar, his forehead splitting open. He still didn't understand. He crawled to her, grabbing the hem of her pants. Vicky, tell me what I did wrong, and I'll fix it. Please, don't believe anything Cole told you. If the butler hadn't investigated, she said, her voice a low growl, I would have never known you were lying to me all along. The kidney wasn't you. The avalanche wasn't you. It was all Cole. He was the one who paid the price for everything, and you took the credit. You slandered him to me. You are a brave man, Julian. His face went white. I didn't want to. I only did it because I love you so much. I couldn't stand watching him hurt you over and over. We're married now, Vicky. Let's just forget about him and be happy together. Her voice was ice. Because I trusted you. Cole is dead. Do you know where he is now? Why don't you go and apologize to him? If you do, I'll forgive you. Julian's tears stopped. A flicker of hope ignited in his eyes. Okay, he nodded eagerly. I should. I'll apologize. He likes money, right? I'll give him a lot of money. Where is he? I'll go right now. A cruel, predatory smile spread across Victoria's face. Then you can go down there and atone for your sins in person. Cole's dead. Julian screamed, his face a mask of disbelief. No, it's a trick. He's trying to win you back. In the next second, Victoria's hand was around his throat, lifting him off the ground. You still pretend. She hissed, her eyes wild with madness. If it weren't for you, would Cole be dead? You're the one who stopped the butler from contacting me. I could have saved him. While we were having our wedding, he was burning alive. You knew, and you let it happen. With every word, her grip tightened. Julian's face turned purple, his eyes bulging. A strangled, pathetic apology escaped his lips, but she didn't let go. She held him until he was on the verge of death, then dropped him to the floor. Letting you die would be too easy, she whispered. From now on, you're going to pay back everything you owe Cole. You're going to feel every ounce of pain he ever felt. Starting with that kidney. Her security team dragged him out. Not to a hospital, but to a private clinic in a building she owned. They strapped him to an operating table. Mom, without anesthesia. The pain will be extreme. He could bleed out. The doctor warned. Victoria ripped Julian's shirt open, her fingers tracing the scar on his side. It was only now that she looked closely, feeling the raised ink of a crude tattoo. The absurdity of it all, that she had been fooled by this, was a fresh wound. Cut right here, she ordered, her voice like steel. He wanted to pretend. Let's make it real. Julian's muffled screams filled the room as the scalpel sliced into his flesh. He passed out from the pain, only to be jolted awake by it again and again. When it was over, the tattoo that had won him a life of luxury was a gruesome, gaping wound. He woke up in a pitch-black, sealed room. The slightest movement sent waves of agony through his untreated wound. He was kept alive, barely, on a diet of forced feedings. After a week, just as the wound began to scar over, men came in and brutally ripped the stitches out. His screams echoed through the basement. From a monitor, Victoria watched it all, clutching a photograph of me from years ago. If you didn't love me, she whispered to the picture, why did you save me, again and again? Tears streamed down her face, falling onto the image of the two of us, happy and poor. Regret was a poison in her veins. Ma'am, the butler interrupted her grief. Mr. Wells's wound is no longer life-threatening. Then proceed to the next step, she said, her voice steady despite her red-rimmed eyes. Don't let him die. Soon on the monitor, she saw them give Julian a glass of water. He drank it greedily. Moments later, the drugs took effect. A burning heat consumed him, the same drug he had used on me, but for him, there would be no release. For a month, he was tortured, his body withering away, until he was barely recognizable. When Victoria finally entered the basement, he didn't even know she was there. When his sluggish mind finally registered her presence, he crawled to her, clinging to her leg. Vicky, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please. Let me go. I'll do anything. Please, save me. She looked down at the pathetic creature at her feet. There is one last thing you have to do. One final debt you owe Cole. Do this, and I'll forgive you. To escape this hell, he would have agreed to anything. He nodded frantically. Yes, anything. I love you, Vicky. She just smiled that cold, cruel smile and walked away. A few moments later, he smelled it. Gasoline, soaking the floors of his prison. As the flames erupted around him, he finally understood. The fire raged for a day and a night. When they finally opened the door, everything had been reduced to ash. Julian was still breathing, a charred, disfigured wreck of a man, his face melted away, but alive. This fire was meant to torture him, not kill him. Victoria looked away from the monitor, her gaze distant. He wants to stay by my side so badly, she murmured to the butler. Then let him understand that in my eyes there is only Cole. She gave the order. Take him to the plastic surgeon. Julian lay on the floor, unable to speak, his eyes wide with a venomous hatred. His entire body was remade, piece by agonizing piece, into my likeness. 3 months later, he had fully recovered, his face an exact replica of mine. Staring at his reflection, Julian descended into madness, smashing everything in sight, his screams echoing through the grand house that had once been his dream and was now his prison. No one cared about his breakdown. Sir, the butler said calmly, Miss Vance will be home soon. That single sentence was enough to reduce Julian to a trembling, terrified mess. At 8 o'clock sharp, Victoria returned. But she wasn't alone. Vicky. Julian stepped forward, his eyes immediately locking onto the young man with her. The man looked exactly as Julian himself had before the surgeries, a cruel, living reminder of what he had lost. He couldn't tell anymore who Victoria truly loved, me, or the idea of me she had now stamped onto him. We're out of condoms, Victoria said to Julian, her arm draped around the young man. Go buy some. Julian flinched, a tear rolling down his cheek. It had been so long since Victoria had touched him. Her gaze was always filled with disgust. And now, she was going to be with this stranger. He glared at the young man, his voice a low growl. You dare seduce my woman? Before he could finish, Victoria slapped him, a mocking smile on her face. That's not what Cole said back then. Have you forgotten already? Was this her revenge? Was Cole so important to her that she would reenact our painful history with him as the stand-in? Julian wanted to scream, but in her presence, he could only swallow his tears and watch them disappear into the master bedroom. He destroyed everything he could reach in the living room. Wait, he screamed internally. Cole is dead, why won't she even look at me? He was the master of the house in name only, his status lower than a dog's, just as mine had once been. The bedroom door didn't open until the next day. Julian, who had waited up all night, rushed forward. Vicky, don't do this. I may have lied to you, but I truly love you. I've loved you for years. Cole is dead. I've already atoned for what I did. Please, don't hurt me anymore. He wept, his greatest fear not the physical torture, but her abandonment. He had nothing left but her. He could be my replacement, endure her humiliation, as long as she didn't leave him. But her voice was a cold blade, chattering his hope. Get out. What right do you have to even say his name? You haven't even begun to pay back what you owe him. She left with the young man, leaving Julian frozen in place. Still not enough. After all he had been through, he still wasn't worth a fraction of what I was to her. Did he truly have to die? Victoria, he thought, how can you be so heartless? The moment they were out the door, Victoria dropped the young man's arm. These men, Julian included, were nothing to her. They were merely tools for her atonement. She lit a cigarette, a habit she'd picked up since I'd been gone, a desperate attempt to feel closer to me. I'll see myself out. Ms. Vance, the young man said, smart enough to know his role, and quietly left. She nodded, walking aimlessly through the crowded streets, her mind lost in memories of me. One cigarette burned down, and as she stamped it out and looked up, she saw it. A familiar silhouette. She didn't even see his face, just the way he stood, and her heart began to hammer in her chest. It was as if fate had forced her to notice him. She followed, mesmerized. He had his arm around a woman, leaning in to say something to her. And then she saw his face. It was my face. She stared, her fingers trembling. It was him. She would know him anywhere. I wasn't dead. The man she had mourned, the man she had built this entire vengeful world around, was alive. An overwhelming joy washed over her. It didn't matter why. All that mattered was that I was alive. She started to run towards me, but then she saw it. I leaned in and kissed the woman beside me. Victoria's world stopped. Her vision went red. She shoved through the crowd and grabbed my arm. Cole, she snarled, her voice shaking with a rage born of unimaginable pain. For me, she had tortured a man. For me, she had knelt at a grave and begged for forgiveness. For me, she had planned to end her own life once her revenge was complete. And I was alive, with someone else. Did I hate her that much? Did I fake my own death just to escape her? She clutched my wrists, her eyes, red and raw, fixed on the face she saw in her dreams every night. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times. If I were alive, she would do anything to be with me again. She would let me hit her, scream at her, even take back the kidney I had given her. She would give up her own life, just to prove that the Victoria who had loved me so fiercely all those years ago was still there. But now, faced with the reality of me, she was speechless. I yanked my arm away, my face a mask of annoyance. You're a real pain, you know that. Can't a guy even fake his own death to get away from you? His words pierced her heart, stealing the air from her lungs. A moment ago, she had thought there must be a misunderstanding. But this was the truth. Oh wait, she whispered, the single word all she could manage. It was the same question she had asked when they had first left her. Do you really not love me at all? She pleaded. Then why did you save me? Why did you give me your kidney? Just give me one reason, Cole. Even a lie. I'll believe you. But my face was as cold and hard as it had been all those years ago. Because I hate you. I never want to see you again. Let it go, Victoria. As far as you're concerned, I died in that fire. I have a new name now. I'm Adrian Kane. The last of her hope crumbled to dust. She watched me walk away until I was just a speck in the crowd, and then she let out a primal scream of anguish. People on the street stared, calling her a lunatic. For half a year, she had believed I was dead. And now, to find out it was all a ruse to escape her, how could you? She wailed. How could you, Cole? She called the butler, ordering an immediate investigation into Adrian Kane and the woman he was with. The information came back quickly. Adrian Kane, a brilliant student from a prestigious university abroad, adopted son of the prominent Kane family. The woman was his fiancée, the youngest daughter of the wealthy Blackwood family. You left me again, Cole, she thought, her eyes burning with a mixture of pain and hatred. And this is who you chose. This time, she swore, she would not let me go. She would chain me to her side if she had to. She would make me hate her, but she would never, ever let me leave again. She went home and locked herself in her room. For once, she was alone. Julian, seeing this as an opportunity, cooked an elaborate meal. He had convinced himself that with me dead, it was only a matter of time before Victoria would see his devotion. He dreamed of a future where they would grow old together. He carefully carried the tray upstairs. "Vicky," he said, smiling my smile, "I made dinner." He knew that no matter how angry she got, she never touched this face. But today, seeing my face on him only reminded her of my cold rejection. The anger she couldn't unleash on me, she turned on him. "Come here, Julian," she said, her voice dangerously soft. He eagerly stepped forward. She grabbed his chin, the one that had been so painfully reconstructed to match mine. "Destroy this face," she said, her voice filled with a chilling emptiness. "What?" He thought he had misheard. "I said, destroy this face," she screamed. Julian's eyes fell on the file on her desk. The man in the photos was named Adrian Kane, but it was unmistakably me. I wasn't dead. And because I was alive, he had to destroy his own face. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. He had never mattered to her. No matter what he did, he would never be worth a single hair on my head. He thought the worst was over, but it was useless. Dead or alive, Victoria's eyes would never be for him. A cold, bitter laugh escaped his lips. His love for her curdled into pure hatred. "Are you deaf?" Victoria snarled. "Why haven't you done it yet? Why should I?" He shot back, his voice dripping with newfound defiance. "You're the one who owes him. You're the one who humiliated him with your money, who drove him away. He saved you, so what? He doesn't love you anymore, Victoria. You're the only one who can't let go." His words were a litany of her own failings, a truth she couldn't bear to hear. With a furious scream, she lunged, pinning him to the desk, her eyes wild. "I never liked you, not for a second," she spat. "You faked an accident to force me to marry you, and Cole isn't gone, he's coming back to me. We're going to get married and grow old together. What are you compared to him? You're nothing but a toy." The fight went out of him. Tears streamed down his face as he began to laugh, a crazed, broken sound. "You're the one who couldn't keep him, Victoria," he rasped, his eyes filled with a mocking pity. "You're the one who can't escape." Ha ha. Julian's laugh was a dry, rasping sound. "So this is what it feels like, Victoria. To have everything and nothing. You and Cole will never be together. You'll both die miserable." The raw hatred in his eyes was terrifying. Even as her hands tightened around his throat, squeezing the life from him, he didn't beg. He just kept laughing, cursing her, a prophecy from the depths of hell. "Shut up," she screamed, a flicker of panic in her eyes. "Shut up, Cole and I will be together. We'll be happy, and we'll never be apart again." She squeezed harder, and Julian's eyes slowly closed. He was gone. Just like that. Victoria let go, a strange numbness settling over her as she stared at the lifeless body. She stood there for a long time, as the warmth left him, as his body grew cold and stiff. He wasn't coming back. A deep, weary sigh escaped her lips. A knock at the door. The butler entered, his expression unchanged by the sight of Julian's body on the floor. "Vance, the Blackwood family is hosting a party in a few days. Will you be attending? It's to be the official announcement of Mr. Kane's engagement to their daughter." Victoria rubbed her temples. "Yes," she said, her voice low. "Not only will I attend, but prepare a generous gift. We'll be making a formal visit. And take care of this." She gestured dismissively at Julian's body. "One more thing, ma'am," the butler added. "We've uncovered some irregularities concerning the Blackwood family's business dealings. It seems Ms. Blackwood has some rather unsavory connections overseas. If Mr. Kane marries into that family, I fear," he laid out the grim details of his investigation. With every word, Victoria's blood ran colder. They weren't just welcoming a new son-in-law, they were recruiting a pawn. They would destroy him. A few days later, at the Blackwood family estate, the party was in full swing. Victoria's arrival sent a ripple of shock through the intimate gathering. Mr. Blackwood, the family patriarch, rushed to greet her, fawning and flustered. "My husband has an interest in your ventures," Victoria said, her face an unreadable mass. "I came to see what all the fuss is about." Mr. Blackwood, ecstatic at the prospect of an alliance with the formidable Vance Corporation, spent the rest of the evening by her side, boasting about his company and the purpose of the night's celebration. "It's my youngest, you see," he chuckled, utterly smitten with the Kane boy. "Insists on marrying him. So, we're making it official tonight." Victoria barely listened, her eyes scanning the room until, Finally the lights dimmed and a spotlight hit the stage. And there I was. I was in a sharp black tuxedo, the woman beside me in a white gown. It was the first time Victoria had ever seen me dressed for a wedding. Her breath caught in her throat. The woman, Beatrice Blackwood, smiled radiantly, holding my hand, a glittering ring on her finger. "Vance," Mr. Blackwood whispered, noticing her fixed stare. "Is your husband here yet?" "He's here," she said softly, her eyes never leaving me. "And he's very handsome." She stood up. My own smile froze as I saw her. I couldn't believe it. After everything I had said, she was here, at my engagement party. Our eyes met across the crowded room, and for a heart-stopping moment, the world fell away. I knew, with a certainty that defied all logic, that she still loved me, and she knew that I still loved her. I saw the panic in her eyes, a desperate plea. "I object." Victoria's voice cut through the applause, clear and unwavering. She walked onto the stage and stood before me. "Tristan," she said, her voice dropping to a tender whisper, using my real name, the name only she knew. "Come with me. I love you." The past rushed back, the memory of her first confession, so young and earnest. But this was not that day. "Victoria," I said, my voice harsh, "I don't love you anymore." The color drained from her face. She grabbed my hand. "You have to come with me. Beatrice is dangerous. She'll destroy you." I ripped my hand away, my own voice raw with a pain I couldn't hide. "Being with you is what will destroy me. You forced me to give my blood. You humiliated me. You're the monster. Victoria, I finally got away from you. Why couldn't you just let me go? I love Beatrice. She would never hurt me." Her eyes, redder than my own, filled with tears. "You really don't love me at all," she whispered. "Oh. Then why did you save me?" "The kidney, the avalanche that was in the past," I screamed, the last of my control snapping. "I don't want to see you, Victoria. Can't you just get out of my life?" My words were the final blow. She stared at me, her heart visibly breaking, then turned and walked away without another word. The party, ruined, quickly dispersed. Beatrice rushed to my side. "Are you all right, Badrian?" "Don't worry, it's over." I forced a smile, but I couldn't stop the tears. Victoria was still the same. She would still throw herself in front of a blade for me. And that was why I had to stay away. That was why I had to break her heart. "Let's go home," Beatrice said brightly. "Time for you to meet the rest of the family." On the drive to the old family estate, my mind raced. Beatrice had chosen me because I was an orphan, a powerless adoptee, easy to control. And I had chosen her for the same reason. She was my ticket into the heart of the very cartel I had sworn to destroy. The Blackwood mansion was vast and imposing. The patriarch greeted me with a chillingly satisfied smile. "So this is the one," he said. "Excellent quality." Before I could react, I was seized, bound, and gagged. "Don't take it personally," Beatrice said, her sweet smile now a venomous sneer. "We just happened to be in need of a new mule. And you, my dear, are the perfect, untraceable vessel." They dragged me to their warehouse. The sheer volume of narcotics was staggering. As they prepared me, I bit down hard on the tracking device hidden in my tooth. It was the signal. Mission go. Soon, the wail of sirens filled the air. Panic erupted in the warehouse. The cartel members, realizing they were trapped, turned on me, their faces contorted with rage. It was him, the cop. They surrounded me, clubs and pipes in their hands. As the first blow landed, a strange sense of peace washed over me. This was it. I was finally paying my debt to Victoria. This time, I was really dying. I closed my eyes, a single tear tracing a path through the grime on my face. "I'm sorry, Victoria." "Tristan." My eyes flew open. It couldn't be. But it was. She was here. She threw herself on top of me, shielding my body with her own as the blows rained down. "But," I sobbed, my voice breaking. "Why did you come?" "You'll die." She smiled down at me, her face pale and bruised. "To die with you is a kindness. Don't cry, my love." "I hurt you so much," I choked out, clutching her to me. "Why would you still save me?" "Because I love you," she whispered, her voice growing faint. "Tristan, do you love me?" "I love you," I cried. "I've always loved you." A beautiful, peaceful smile spread across her face. "That's good," she murmured, and her eyes closed for the last time. The police burst in moments later, but it was too late. Victoria was gone. I stood before her grave, a hollow shell of a man, my family, murdered by the cartel. And now, the woman I loved, beaten to death protecting me. The autopsy revealed that every bone in her body had been broken, her kidney ruptured, The agony she must have endured was unimaginable. And yes, she had died smiling, because she had heard me say I loved her. The guilt was a living thing, clawing at my insides. I finally understood the depth of her pain when she thought I had died. Over the years, I threw myself into my work, taking on one impossible mission after another, adopting a dozen different identities. Many women showed interest, but my heart was a tin. One day, on a mission, I took a bullet. The wound was bad. They tried to save me, but I was slipping away. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of relief. That night, I snuck out of the hospital and made my way to her grave. A peaceful calm settled over me. I leaned against the cold stone, as if I were leaning against her. "I'm coming, Victoria," I whispered, a smile on my face as I closed my eyes and let the falling snow cover me like a blanket. "I'm sorry I kept you waiting." The next morning, they found me frozen to death, a peaceful smile on my lips. They all knew my story, the tragedy that had defined my life. They knew the impossible choices, the tangled web of love and hate, the misunderstandings and the lies. Looking at my serene face, they wondered, was it all worth it? But there was no answer. There never had been. "I hope in the next life," one of my colleagues whispered, a final, quiet blessing over the two of us, "you find each other in a world without burdens, without revenge, without pain. I'd hope you find each other in a time when you can just love." The snow kept falling, blanketing the world in a pristine, silent white,